Mini skirt on, dip my body in glitter. Platform sneakers, all the boys want a picture. Two foreign cars, I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya. Mini skirt on, dip my body
Hello. You're now tuned in to the A Little Bit a Lot podcast. I'm your host, Kristen, and welcome back to another episode. We are in the second episode of the new year, and I gotta say, this January has not been that miserable. Okay, like the tea is, it just always seems like every new year I'm like, it's litty, like we got our resolutions, like new year, same me, but like enhanced, right? And then something crazy happens. Like I remember one new year in January, I ended up having to pay $600 to get my car fixed, even though I was saving it for something else. I forgot what it was. And then the next January, something else traumatic happened. And it's like, girl, like, can I get a break in January? Like, why does the year always have to start off rocky? Like, ASAP, no Rocky. Or should I say Rocky, no ASAP? I don't even know. Like, why am I like this? But no, for real. Yeah, like, Januaries are rough out here, so I'm just saying, like, if anybody else has had like a rocky start to the new year, like, shout out to you. I'm saying, like, let's keep it cute. Let's, keep it P, right? Like, we got to keep it P. We got to stand on 10 toes, shoulders back, and just keep pushing, okay? Like, no matter what you may be going through, like, things are going to get better. And they always do, right? Things can't be bad forever. So I'm just like really, knock on wood, bruh, that, the rest of these weeks that we have in January, however much time we have left, everything will be Gucci. But, I've also been like in the new year trying out some different things. I've been watching new animes. I've been watching new TV shows. I've been watching documentaries on Netflix. I've been checking out new podcasts. So a couple of the things that I have, been watching, I kind of wanted to share with you guys. As you could tell from the title, I wanted us to talk about it's not really new. It's been like out for like what? 2 months, 3 months or something like that, but I'm just now getting to it. It's called All Her Fault. It's a mini series that's based on a novel that just came out on Peacock that I wanted us to discuss. We've also got some nonsense going on with Cam Newton, okay, and his podcast that has recently gone viral that has been getting under my skin a bit. So I kind of wanted us to discuss that. Like, we got some things to go, talk about when it comes to that. Podcasts, TV shows, so, new music that I've been discovering. So let's just get into it, okay? Buckle up, grab a snack, grab a drink, make sure you're hydrated, and let's kiki, okay? Like, let's get into it, no doja. And before I do, if you're watching this episode on YouTube, thank you. I really appreciate you stopping by. Like, you're a real one, okay? And while you're at it, if you could please give this episode a big thumbs up, right? Hit that like button on YouTube. It really helps the show out. I appreciate you. Comment down below to let me know, what did you think about All Her Fault? Oh my God, I can't speak today. What did you think about All Her Fault on Peacock? Let me know. Are there any TV shows that you've been feeling lately that you think I should check out? Like, what's the tea? Let me know in the comments down below, you know what I mean? And subscribe, okay? If you want to join a community where we just talk about mental health, pop culture, music, movie, TV, and we have this, safe space on this little corner of the internet where we can be ourselves in, if that sounds good to you, then I would highly recommend that you subscribe. So go ahead and do that. Turn those post notifications on so that way you're not missing an episode, an upload, right? And if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, thank you. Rate that 5 stars and leave a review to let me know what you think about the show. Okay, so let's just get into it when it comes to All Her Fault. I first saw people talking about All Her Fault because I saw Sid from the Sid and TP show. It's called Unsupervised. If you guys don't know, they're, women basketball players. Shout out to them. I've talked about them a couple times on the show, and I love their podcast. And I think Sid ended up getting like a Peacock like sponsorship on her Instagram where she like was reacting to All Her Fault. And I'm like, okay, this seems like a pretty interesting show. And then I saw Kev on stage talk about it. And then, of course, my boyfriend started talking about it after that. And he was like, we need to get into it. So I was like, okay, I finally sit down, start the show. For me, with my ADHD, it's really hard for me to like have motivation to get into something new. But I'm like, hey, I think this might be worth it. And I think I'm glad I did, because I also didn't know that this was based on a novel. Usually when stuff is based on a novel, like a TV or movies, I end up liking it because, I'm like grew up being a book girly. So I can appreciate when a good novel turns out well on the screen. So for those who don't know, right, and hashtag spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about everything. I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts that I wrote down in my notes because I wanted to cover every thought that I had while dissecting this TV show. But in case you don't know what the show is about and you still want to be here and you don't care about spoilers, the description says that it's a limited mystery thriller series on Peacock based on Andrea Mara's best-selling novel. It follows Marissa Irvine, who's played by Sarah Snook, whose life spirals into every parent's worst nightmare when she goes to pick up her young son from a play date, only to be told no one there has ever heard of him. What starts as a frightening search turns into a tangled web of secrets, suspicion, and shocking revelations that shake her family and community to the core. The show blends twists with emotional drama as relationships, trust, and motives are all pushed to the brink. When it comes to the main character, the mom, Marissa, she is quite a complicated character, as is pretty much everybody on this show. But I think that it shows like an accurate depiction of how complicated humans are in general, because they keep, reiterating the point throughout the show where, they feel like good people can also be, driven to do bad things or questionable things. And you kind of see this theme throughout everybody where you see that nobody's perfect. Everyone on this series has their flaws. And we see her flaws like pretty much right away. We see like that she's, human. She's gonna make mistakes. And she made a really big mistake that kind of like we thought kind of started this. But in reality, like she had been preyed on for much longer than what we thought initially. But nonetheless, some decisions that she made in the beginning were certainly questionable, in my opinion, that I was like, I don't know if my mom would have did that, right? I can't speak, from my personal like experience because I'm not a mom. But I was like, I even had to call my mom and talk to her about it and be like, girl, listen to what this lady just did on TV, because I would never in a million years think that you would ever do this. She ended up having like a text from someone that she thought was a friend of hers named Jenny. And she's a parent at her son Milo's school. And her son Milo is friends with Jenny's son named Jacob. So she thought she got a text from Jenny. That's who she thought she was texting, saying, hey, girly pop, do you want our kids to go on a play date together? She's like, sure. She's like, okay, pick them up at this address. So the first mistake that she makes when dealing with this interaction with who she thought was supposed to be Jenny was not saving all of the parents' numbers at the school. Because apparently the leader of the like PTA, how is that what it's called? PTA? I don't even know. The parent association. She sent out like a spreadsheet, right, with all the parents' numbers for you to save. But she's a busy mom, so she didn't have time to save the numbers. That's mistake number one, right? So when she gets this text who says it's supposed to be Jenny, she technically doesn't know that for sure because Jenny's number isn't saved, right? So when she gets the text, she also didn't check the spreadsheet to even make sure, okay, is this actually Jenny's number? That was mistake number two, right? And then, when she realizes that her son is missing, they were like, okay, well, have you ever actually talked to this person on the phone? From the number that text you? She said no. Mistake number 3, right? Why would you not check the number from the person that's texting you? I know you love Jenny down, but you gotta make sure that the number matches the number that was provided to you from the school. Why did you not double check the number? And why would you not talk to this person on the phone? And on top of that, she also said that she'd never been to her house. And like I said, I'm not here to mom shame. I get that she's a busy mother and she has a lot on her plate. And her husband, Peter, right, was present, but he was unhelpful. So she had a lot going on that she had to manage for herself, but OMG, right? Like, what is going on? And I just thought that was just like, a crazy couple of mistakes that she made, because growing up, like, my mom did not play when it came to that. Like, she was always very wary of other people's families. Like, she was always concerned about my safety. And whenever I wanted to, like, go spend the night at a friend's house, or even just go hang out at a friend's house for a couple of hours, it was never that. Like, I never got to go over people's houses growing up. The only people's houses that I went over was my 2, like, friends that I had from pretty much first grade, like, all the way up to, like, 11th grade, right? So these are, like, pretty much, like, friends that I had for my entire childhood. 2 friends. I've only ever been over 2 friends' house. And so she felt like she could trust these people because we've been friends for so long. She consistently talks to these, friends' parents. Like, she talks to them on the phone. She has their number saved. She would consistently, like, go with me over their house, be in their house, engage with their parents, like, the whole 9. And out of the 2 friends that I, like, went over to their house, I only spent the night at one of those friends' house. The other one, I never spent the night. Like, she did not play that, because, like, you don't know what's going to happen. These people could not have the best interest for your child. Like, there's so many stories of, children who innocently think that they're going over to play over their friend's house, and then their mom is a creeper or their dad is a creeper, and then now they're scarred for life. Like, you just never know. And it's like, as a kid, I used to be like, dang, this lady is literally paranoia. Like, what is wrong with her? But now growing up, I realized, like, she did this for a reason, because there's creepers out there. There are dangerous people out there. Like, people be kidnapping kids, people be abusing kids. And you need to do what you need to do to make sure that your children know what to do if that situation ever happens to them. And you need to be very thorough with the people that you do allow around your children. Make sure that you feel like you can really trust these people with your child. So the fact that Marissa, like, didn't check the number, like I said, never talked on the phone with the lady, never been to the lady's house, was just strange to me personally, because my mom would never do that. Like, that was not her protocol, right? Like I said, we see Marissa has a lot going on, so we got to give her grace. She deserves grace here. There's also another note that I wrote down where I said, I also could not believe that the Irvine's nanny lied to the police and said that she didn't know the nanny that took Milo. Like, then on top of that, she was spilling all of the tea about what Milo's parents do for work and so much other information. And it's like, girl, like, I know that you thought that you had a friend, in her, and that you could trust Carrie. But at the end of the day, this is still someone else's child that you are taking care of. This is your job. You need to be professional. You need to have, like, client to nanny confidentiality, right? Like, where is that at? It was just all thrown out the window. She was just giving it up, telling everything and anything that Carrie would ask, she would answer. Like, this is crazy. Like, there needs to be some type of, like, standard to where, as a nanny, you are standing on business when it comes to protecting their personal information. Like, that stuff should not be shared. So, that sucks. But at the end of the day, I do want to give the nanny a little bit of grace, because she's only human, and her trust was, abused from Carrie. Like, we do see that Carrie was very manipulative and, came off as she could be trusted. But at the same time, we do need to hold the nanny accountable, like girly pop. It don't matter how friendly you think somebody is. Their business is their business, and the information that you shared should not have been shared, period. Also, why would the mom, Marissa, go into business with Colin, right? Colin is her business partner at her firm, and he plays Lawrence from Insecure. Love him down. Love Insecure down. Like, you knew that this man had a gambling addiction, so that's just already kind of like questionable, right? And it's like, I know at the end of the day, she wanted to give him, a chance of redemption. But at the end of the day, this is a risky business move. Like, I don't really know what was really her thought process in that. And it's like, I don't want to shame people who have, addictions and then feel like, oh, they're not worth having a second chance. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, it's so iffy, and it's like, that's no shade, no tea. Like, I don't want to insult any addicts either, because like, they deserve to be able to have a future and be able to make things right. But at the same time, he wasn't on that. He made some crazy decisions that impacted the safety of her child. So it's kind of like, girly pop, maybe you should have went to business with somebody else. I don't know. I just was really kind of, side eyeing that decision. But hey, it is what it is. He deserved a chance, but he blew it. He blew it majorly, okay? And then we need to talk about Dakota Fanning. Oh my God. I love Dakota Fanning down. You guys know that I am a big Twilight fan. So we love her as Jane from the Volturi, right? So this is my first time kind of seeing her in a role like this. And I was like, okay, like, I don't know, I don't want to like put her in a box, but I've never seen her, in this type of situation. How is she gonna, like, I can't believe I'm this old to the point where Dakota Fanning is now playing a mom, right? Like, that was gaggy to me. So I'm like, how am I going to feel about that? Like, how am I going to be able to disassociate the fact that we've seen Dakota Fanning grow up right before our eyes and now she's playing a mom? But she killed it, right? She absolutely killed it. And I really liked her character. But the fact that her husband on the show was completely useless had me fuming like every single time we saw them interact with each other. And I think that obviously that was the point, right? He was written to be an awful husband and a pretty crappy dad, if you will. But oh my God, he did it. He did his job a little too well, because girl, I was upset. Okay. Like, I could not stand that he was always asking her when she'll be done with work, even though she's clearly the breadwinner of the family and you're benefiting from this. And it's like, you don't want to take care of your own child. You consistently are interrupting her while she's having meetings that she are important to her and that are vital to giving you this comfortable life that you're living. But you keep interrupting her instead of doing what you need to do to build a bond with your son so you can feel well equipped to take care of him on your own. Are you kidding me right now? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you need to wake the freak up and realize that you need to be an active parent and stop being a weirdo and resenting your wife for having a cool job that she actually likes. Like, are you cool? Like, what? He sucked. He absolutely sucked. And then we also have to talk about the other husband, Peter. He was a mess. I didn't have a good feeling about him from the beginning, just off of the way that his body language was, right? And then they mentioned that I had an allergy. And I'm like, you can just never trust a suspicious man who has a weakness like an allergy from off rip, right? So I'm like, what's going to happen with this? You know what I mean? I'm side-eyeing Peter helly hard from the jump. And he proved me right every single episode by also being a weirdo. Both husbands on this show were mega weirdos. Peter lying to his disabled brother and saying that he's not a candidate for surgery because he wants to continue to being a controlling psychopath is absolutely sick. Like, genuinely want to vomit the house down, because what is wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, what is actually psychologically wrong with you? Like, we need medication, we need therapy, we need a psychiatrist stat. Stat. Okay, you're worried about the care for everybody else, but you need to be concerned about your own mental psyche. Okay, because I can't imagine how horrific it is living in that crazy, sick and demented mind of his. Like, are you kidding me right now? And then it's just crazy to me because he had the nerve to, we find out, be the one responsible for injuring his brother and keeping it a secret for his entire life. But then on top of that, you are basically being ableist and like being like showing disgust every single time that your disabled brother wants to use his own wheelchair. That is so weird. Like, if it means that he's in less pain when he uses his wheelchair, who cares? Like, why do you care so much about how the optics of it all and how this looks? Whether he's using his cane thing, I'm sorry, I don't know like the proper word for it, or he's using his wheelchair, he still looks disabled. I don't know if you think that he looks not like a disabled person when he's using his cane, but he does. And that's okay. Like, that's perfectly fine. But I don't know why you think that there's a big difference between him looking non-disabled with the walking canes versus the wheelchair. Like, either way, he looks disabled. So let him do what is more comfortable for him. Like, why are you so strange and weird? And then it was just crazy because you fast forward to the end and they go, they are at the funeral for Colin, and Peter had the nerve to say that his brother using his own wheelchair was a way to get back at him. Like, what? Like, I cannot believe that you are that sick and twisted and self-absorbed that you think that everything on this entire planet revolves around you. So me using my wheelchair as a way to get back at you, like, please get over yourself, you freaking idiot. Like, that had me screaming. I'm like, oh my God, this man is like dangerous, clearly. Dangerous. Then we're jumping back to, Dakota Fanning's husband, right? AKA Jenny. The weaponized incompetence that her husband displayed in episode 6 alone is actually insane. Like, he sat in the car and pretended to be in an after-school program that had been canceled. Nobody cared about it. None of the students cared. So you feeling salty about it. It's been canceled. But you tell your wife that it's still going on so that way you can have time to sit in the car. And then as you're sitting in the car, your son, who you know is on a play date, the person that's watching your child calls you and you don't answer because you care that much about having your time on TikTok in your car. What if something was actually wrong? What if something was actually wrong and you are the first person that she calls because you're his dad and you don't answer? Huh? And I'm just thinking, he needs to be thanking God that the nanny that they hired didn't have a hyperfixation on their son, Jacob. So you should be ready after what happened, to Jacob's friend. After all of that happened, you should be ready to answer the phone as soon as possible whenever someone watching your child calls you. And then Jenny finally calls him out on the fact that what you're doing right now is weird, right? You're making everything hard for me and our marriage. And she brings up the fact that she would love to have free time as well. And then, of course, he has pathetic excuses. He has the audacity to say that he's actually helping her by pretending to be busy so that she can be home more with their son. And it's like, sometimes I just wonder, how men are so dumb, but they're able to like come up with like these quick, on their feet, idiotic answers. Like when they respond in moments like these, it's like, it's just insane. Like, once again, are you cool? Clearly not. Clearly freaking not. And I also want to note that I'm also glad that Jenny called out the PTO mom at school that always tries to get her to volunteer, to do the fundraising stuff, because she was just judgmental and nosy. And it's like, girl, not all moms have time to do all of that. And like, that's perfectly okay. Like, why are you trying to mom shame me right now? Are you kidding me? Like, why can't you just get a clue and stop bugging her about it when obviously she doesn't have interest or time? I also want to talk about Carrie, right? Carrie the kidnapper. You know, I have to acknowledge the fact that like her upbringing admittedly is very sad, right? Her mom and dad aren't the greatest people, and she was all alone, and her baby died, or so we thought at first. But at the end of the day, regardless of what she's been through, I still feel like that doesn't excuse her kidnapping Milo, aka Noah, right? Because in the end, we do learn that like Peter's the one who stole the baby after the car accident. So she's not wrong in her theory that Milo, aka Noah, is hers. But she still had a lot of other mental health, issues, I think, and trauma due to her upbringing that kind of made like obviously everything that she did questionable. So I feel like overall she's like a complex character for sure, right? Like you can empathize with her, but at the same time it's like, girl, okay, relax. And at the end of the day, like Carrie was wronged by Peter, and then she did wrong to others. For example, killing Colin on accident, like pulling up to the cribbo with a Glocky was, a crazy choice to make, right? And then like her, kidnapping Milo instead of like, I don't know, taking legal matters, right, against the Irvines for maybe DNA testing, perhaps. Like, you could have used that as an option. Like, you could have done that, maybe. But then again, I don't know. Like, would she have been able to, like, afford taking legal action against them? I don't know. So then it just makes it complicated. But, this is why I kind of feel for her. But like I said, at the end of the day, I still want to hold her, character accountable for her actions. And then we're shifting back to Peter. Like I said, I had a feeling that Peter was sick and demented when we saw him lie to his wife so easily after he got that ransom call from, which we later find out was Carrie's dad. Like, he had lied to and manipulated others around him his entire life, and he uses like care and concern as an excuse to control everyone around him, and that's just not okay. And like with Peter, I get being scared to like tell everyone that you caused your brother's accident, that left him paralyzed because, you were 10. Like, okay, we get that. But then growing up your whole grown life and then using that situation to paint your sister as a mess growing up is like so weird again. And like then lying to your brother about a life-changing surgery opportunity because you want him to still need you. Strange. Okay? Very, very strange. And then once again, more strange behavior. You then viewing your stolen son as your property. What's that about, Peter? And then you also leaving your said stolen son alone in a car to fend for himself after staging his kidnapping return? Strange, strange, strange. Like every single choice that Peter made in this series comes from a place of control, like I said, and severe mental illness. Because the fact that he told his sister at Colin's funeral, who was her boyfriend, that they were there because of her, basically, is nuts. Like, but then again, like, we find out that everything that ever came out of his mouth for the entire show was insanity. So it's kind of like, what? Like, I'm not even surprised that we're even at this funeral. You still have the audacity to say the things that you're saying right now. Like, it's absolutely wild. But, overall, I would have to say that there was clearly a lot of sexism and misogyny in the show. And I think maybe the reason why the title is called All Her Fault could be because this is coming from like the male perspective, right? I don't know. Like the Mary mom's husbands were all selfish. They were all self-absorbed, and they all show signs of narcissism. So everything wrong in their life, especially Jenny's husband, was all the wife's fault. So maybe that's like kind of the tea with the title. I don't know. Like, let me know your thoughts. And then another thing I wanted to know, I just also think it's kind of crazy to me that the only black character that we get, Colin, right? Like, we only get one black character. And then in the end, it's crazy to me that he's the reason why Carrie even found her son, Milo, aka Noah, in the end. Like, why do we only get one black character and then he's to blame for this initial connection? Like, what? Because if you guys don't remember, like, Carrie only saw Milo for the first time because she was with her dad, and he had to pull up on Colin because he had relapsed, in his gambling addiction. So, I don't know. I just feel like although, like, his character wasn't perfect, one thing that I did like about Colin was the fact that he was the only one that was always willing to stand up to Peter and try to call him out on his BS, before he died. So, shout out to Colin, I guess, for that. That's the only one thing you ate. And in general, I just think that this show is really intense, and it just, at some points, also seemed to, like, kind of drag on. Because I'm just like, oh my God, like, when is this mystery going to end? Like, when are we going to get to the bottom of this? God, there's so many twists and turns for my anxiety, right? So I just, like, couldn't wait for it to be over at the end of the day, though. Because then you have all this anticipation and this suspense, and then you have these white men gaslighting women, like, every 5 seconds. So then that was just making me, like, physically ill. But at the same time, it intrigued me just enough, right, to keep me wanting to keep watching and commit to the end, to, like, see the mystery through. So it's like, y'all gotta eat that, right? But in the end, Marissa's kiss of death, I feel like, was just absolutely perfect. Because, like I said earlier, I knew that them mentioning his allergy early on would somehow be, like, used. I just didn't know how. So when she was telling Jenny about how she felt trapped, in the moment I'm thinking, like, well, you know what I'm saying? You could use that allergy. And she did. So I'm like, okay, right. Saw that coming. But, at the end of the day, I feel like, once again, was Marissa wrong here? Like, of course, like, killing someone is not, like, the best thing to do. But then again, I feel like this is just a case of, like, worse versus worser. Worse versus worse. So then what can you do? And then I wondered, like, is she going to tell the police and, like, risk Milo, being taken, since that's technically not her biological child? Like, what's she gonna do? But she ended up keeping it a secret. And I think that choice that she made is very interesting, because I think maybe it is for the best for Milo's, like, safety in his future if he stayed with her, obviously, because she does love him like her own son. She genuinely thought that was her kid. So that's not her fault for the things that Peter did behind her back. And at the same time, we all know that, like, Milo's, biological mother is gone now. His biological grandfather is gone now. And his biological grandmother is just awful. So then he would just basically probably end up in, like, the foster care system. So I guess this is, like, the best outcome, right? And I just thought it was so interesting how, that detective guy pulled up and he clocked the tea. He clocked all of the tea, but was like, you know what? I'm let it go. The case is closed, because I think he knew, like, hey, maybe this is, like, the best, ending in the interest of Milo in the end, right? He knew that. And it's like, who are you to intervene at the same time when you did some dirty things to ensure the safety of your son as well? To get him in a better school. Are you switching out those pills? I don't know. So overall, this was an interesting batch of characters. Like I said, you can really tell that this came from a book with all the twists and turns. And it kind of makes me want to, like, start reading mystery thrillers for real. Because reading it seems like it'll be a little bit less stressful for me than, like, watching it, right? Because I was just on the edge of my seat, child. I'm like, oh my God, I can't take the anticipation, right? Those are pretty much my thoughts on this show. It was a really good watch, though, at the end of the day. ADHD of it all, it took me a while to get through. I saw so many people be like, I binged this in 2 days. It took me about, like, a week and a half to get through it all. I'm not even gonna lie. But hey, my timing is my timing, period. Next thing I wanted to talk about that I mentioned earlier was the Cam Newton drama. I feel like this kind of ties into just, like, entitled, like, men who probably need a psychiatric evaluation, just like the show we just talked about, because Cam Newton also could probably live in this universe and nobody would bat an eye, right? In the All Her Fault universe of like men just kind of out of their mind. Because that's what I get every single time I see any clip of Cam Newton. At the end of the day, no shade, no tea. I can only go off of the clips and things that I've seen. But every single time I see this man on my timeline, it's just like, what's going on right now? Like, the way that he absolutely irks so many nerves in my spirit and just feels so unsettling is concerning. The fact that he refuses to accept that he has multiple broken homes from having 7 million children with different baby mamas is kind of absurd. That's just certainly a choice that I think is not fair to the children on some Nick Cannon teens. Like, I'll never understand it. I'll never understand men making that decision. But hey, it is what it is. But outside of like his personal life, what he presents on his show sometimes is concerning as well. And he recently went viral again because yet another woman, Lady London, went on his podcast and kind of cleared him, kind of clocked his teeth to his face, and it kind of just goes over his head. It's like, but now I'm starting to be concerned because, like, are you clocking it, but you're just so delusional that you don't want to clock the fact that these women are clocking you? Or is it really just going over your head? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, are you in on it or are you not? Because I just don't know at this point. I don't know, bruh. So for those who don't know, about Cam Newton, he's a retired football player who clearly has a lot of free time, and he decided to start an interview-based podcast. Even though interviewing is very much a skill, right? It is a skill, and it's not one, in my personal opinion, that he's really great at, right? And throughout the clips I've seen, it appears that he constantly tries to come off as this deep, intellectual thinker, but it usually just ends up backfiring, and it just makes him look unhinged. And then somehow the women that he brings on always end up, like I said, humbling him. And then his most recent episode with Lady London was no exception. And with Lady London, I really like her music, and I really like one of her recent features that she did on the Coco Jones album. Her song is called Is It Mine? Lady London slid on that verse, period. So the stuff that's going on with Lady London, I saw on TikTok and I also saw on Threads. So I kind of wanted to share some clips here. So let me go ahead and open up the first clip that is concerning to me.
How would you describe your style in one word? That's an adjective.
Can I use a word that I've already used?
Sure, go ahead.
Eclectic.
Say it again.
Eclectic.
It's eclectic.
Well, the heavy on the N because
There's no N in it.
No. It's my word.
Oh, let's unpack this. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
It's your word.
Eclectic.
Spell it for me.
Nclecta.
Okay.
Eclectic.
Eclectic.
Do you want to know what the N stands for?
Niggatry. Am I right? Okay. Respectfully.
You see where I was going?
Let that
Yeah.
be. Okay. Great.
Oh my God, his face.
Yeah.
I learned a new word. We got to hit up Webster,
No, we ain't got to hit up nobody.
Oxford. Nobody.
Why would we do that? Do they relate to us?
I'm pretty big on words. It's kind of how I make my money, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's cool, but you just use people that don't have Thanksgiving morals that I have.
Oh, okay.
What?
Got it. All right. Okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Please, because I'm crushing it right now.
Are you?
Webster and Oxford, like, they don't eat what I eat in Thanksgiving.
Got
That
it.
smell ain't the
What does
same.
Thanksgiving have to do with this?
They may be around cousins and aunties, but they feeling, you know what I'm saying?
Got it.
No, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know. Everything about this clip is just, once again, taking it to all her fault. It's like the way that men are able to be so quick on their feet, coming up with a bunch of like BS with their responses so that way they can continuously try to prove that they're right when they're not, is really concerning. Like, you don't know how to spell the word. The word that you're saying is not even a word. And then when she tries to correct you, you have too much pride to admit that you're wrong. So then you come up with this nonsense talking about heavy on the N. Huh? Like, we literally see you right there in 4K trying to conjure up an excuse as to why you think what you're saying is correct when it's not. Like, this is just not a good look. Like, it doesn't show high IQ. It doesn't show, oh, I have intelligence. Just, it's not showing what you think it's showing. So it's just like, all it is just concerning. It's very, very concerning. And I applaud Lady London for, tolerating this nonsense in the few moments that he acted like this throughout their episode. Because, oh my God, I would have been so over it. Like, I don't like when people are loud and wrong. So I personally would have been like, no, you're wrong. Like, no, Ellen, that's not the truth.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited.
You know what I mean? Or whatever she said. Like, clock Ellen's T. You're wrong. Clock Cam Newton's T. You're wrong. And it's like, I don't personally have a problem with being wrong, bro. If I'm wrong, let me know so that I don't be going around thinking that I'm right when I'm actually wrong. Because then that's just going to make me look crazy. I want to know the right answer to what it is that we're discussing. So let me know. So then moving forward, I can be more educated. I love learning. I like, correct me. Help me out. But then you're willingly being like, no. Like, that is like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous to say that you willingly want to be loud and wrong. Like, you don't want to be more intelligent? Is that what you're telling me? Like, what message are you trying to send here? It's just like, what kind of example are you setting then if you can't show that it's okay to be humbled? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on there? So I can see why she had no choice but to play into it and be like, sit back, spell it for me, let me know. Period. Hey, you thought you ate? We'll act like you ate. Let's just play. Since we want to play, since we're all playing. Like, she ate that. She ate that, not him. It's just funny to me because the thread of the person who posted this, the account is All Things Black Movies. They quoted it and said, I love intelligent people. Lady London was not fooled or impressed by him. She was so disappointed and disgusted. Cam Newton making up words that don't make sense. Like, seriously, like, what is wrong with this guy? I also saw somebody on Threads with the username Asia. It's spelled AYSIIIAAAA. And she said, Cam Newton really has the IQ of a McChicken. Oh my God. When I tell you, I was screaming for like the longest time because, like, what? Like, that is so accurate. Like, heavy on a McChicken. Heavy on a literal McChicken, bro. Like, what's going on? Then there's another clip, of course, that went viral. As if it couldn't get any worse, it gets worse. Right? He's making up his own words, refusing to admit that he's wrong. And then he goes on, he says some more tomfoolery. I saw this clip on Threads as well. And the account star_1204 said, I couldn't engage with someone like this. Like I said, personally, I couldn't do it either. That kind of personality is exhausting and honestly insufferable. Lady London's facial expression said everything that needed to be said. So let's go ahead and look at this clip.
Are you sensitive?
Extreme. I'm a Cancer. I'm extremely sensitive.
What that mean?
Well, we can get into it later. What are you? What's your sign?
I'm a God. The God that I serve said I'm a direct reflection of him.
Okay. We can get into when's your birthday. I can redirect the question.
Okay, every day is my birthday.
Okay.
There's like a part of me that's like Kanye West, and then there's also a part of me that like TD Jakes.
Oh my
And I'm just
God.
trying to ask you a question. I'm sorry, it's just May 11th, 1989. I was born on a Sunday, Mother's Day. I am my mom's favorite son. She would never admit it, but I think that to be true.
Got it.
She has 2 other sons. That means that vagina was powerful. That was TMI, but needless to say,
I just cannot believe that when she asked him, what's your sign? He can't answer. And then we say, when is your birthday? Every day's my birthday. Would have had me get up and walk out. Like, oh my God, I can't handle stupidity like that personally. That would have sent me into literal orbit Tina. Like, what do you mean every day's my birthday? Then on top of that, the whole like spiel about you being like Kanye West and TD Jakes. What kind of example is that? Oh my God, guys, hold on. I feel like I'm literally about to pass out. Like, like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, the stupidity just sends me. It sends me. And it gets my freaking blood pressure rising because what? Kanye West and TD Jakes? Are you serious right now? Then you proceed to talk about how you're your mother's favorite son and mention her vagine? That's inappropriate. Absolutely sick. Lady London, like, once again, give her 10s for sitting through this nonsensical nonsense. Then, some point in the interview, he also says, quote, I'm a businessman and I do not play about my empire. And if it comes in question where a person, place, or thing, that's a noun, challenges that, then I've got to control, I'll delete myself from that situation. And then after he says that, he proceeds to be like, man, I'm giving y'all so much wordplay here. Oh my God. Like, the fact that he's right there basically talking to her like she's an idiot as if she doesn't know what a noun is absolutely sick. Like, this woman has told you that she has a bachelor's degree from Howard University where she double majored in sports medicine and chemistry, and a master's from USC where she majored in global medicine and international health policy. And you think that she needs to be told what a noun is? And you think that you talking about you and your empire is going to impress a girly like her? Get the freak out of here. Are you serious right now? And you know what? Shout out to my educated, baddies. You know what I'm saying? I commend anyone who has the emotional bandwidth and mental capacity to go through the trauma that is college. I've talked about it before, but I feel like college was a traumatizing experience for me, and it's a traumatizing experience for a lot of people. Like, college is unnecessarily hard for no reason, bro. And I say this as someone who has an associate's of applied science. I have a degree, an associate's degree. I can't imagine having to go back to school and get a bachelor's, let alone a master's. Okay? So I would say that I'm also qualified to be able to talk about these type of things whenever a fellow educated girly pop is being, talked about in conversation with a low IQ male. He want to talk about heavy on the N? No, heavy on the degree. You think I'm a joke? Do you think that my degrees are a joke? Like I don't know what I'm talking about? Absolutely diabolical. And she cleared him. Natalie Nunn cleared him. I don't know how much more embarrassment he can take. But at this point, I think he's so delusional that he doesn't even get embarrassed by any of this. I think he seems like the type of person where he's like, hey, all press is good press. I don't know. But I don't like to, willingly engage in Cam Newton nonsense, but I just felt like this was just so absurd that I just kind of had to share my thoughts on it. And I just personally think that he needs to hang it up and maybe stop interviewing women or just stop interviewing people in general that aren't in a field that he's had experience in. Like, be about the sports, which I guess he's doing with the new 106 in Sports show that they're coming out with, which is like, who asked for that? We want 106 in Park where we talk about music. We don't need a show about sports. We already have ESPN for that, but okay. But I just personally feel like if you're going to do all this, use your platform. You and Shannon Sharp need to zip it and really just try using your platform to talk about what you have experience in. Because clearly this intellect and skill of interviewing is just not cut out for everybody. And he's proving this time and time again by being cleared on his own show. So I don't know. It's disturbing. Let me know your thoughts. Lastly, I just had to acknowledge one more thing. The fact that Fetty Wap is out of jail. And this is now just kind of becoming a turn of events, I would say, in pop culture right now, where people are not only being like, dang, Fetty Wap's out of jail, but it's 2026. That means it's been 10 years since 2016. And the internet has been taking it back and talking about 2016 all over again. I briefly mentioned this on my stream. If you guys don't know, I do stream every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my YouTube channel at A Little Bit A Lot Podcast. We play games, Sims, Mario. This week I'm going to be playing Walking Dead for the first time. And I mentioned it like, dang, everybody's been talking about 2016. And it just feels like such a perfect time because like whenever people were reminiscing on 2016 before 2026 came, everybody was always like, Fetty Wap had it on lock, Fetty Wap had it on lock. And as someone who used to be a heavy Fetty stan, you know what I mean? Like, I loved his music and I just loved the whole like Remy Boy era. Shout out to Remy Boy Monty, you know what I mean? I have no clue what Fetty Wap went to jail for, but I did see some clips of his Breakfast Club interview where he was just like, holding himself accountable for his actions that led him to get to that place. And he just wants to move on and, do better moving forward. Love that for him. But at the same time, the fact that he represents this like 2016 nostalgia and the fact that it's had the internet kind of like reflecting back on the 2016 era is just, I feel like, so iconic. Because it's like, at first I was kind of like, okay, guys, like we're ODing it. Like I'm scrolling on my timeline. All I'm seeing is 2016, 2016, 2016. Everybody's posting dumps. Everybody's posting dumps. But then I thought about it and I'm like, no, like this is a good thing because there is so much awful things going on in this world, in America alone. Innocent people being like detained by ICE. People are not feeling safe. Children are not feeling safe to even go outside and go to school anymore. I think it's in Minnesota. Is that the state that's happening right now? Like the current administration is just trying to rip our country apart. You guys know I always have existential crisis about what's going on with the state of our country and our political climate. So God forbid somebody wants to just take a moment to think back to 2016 when pop culturally everything felt safe. Things might not have been safe in the world then, in the political climate in the world in America, but at least culturally it felt united. And the fact that Fetty Wap had a big hand in that is just so comforting. You know what I mean? Like, music was good. Snapchat was lit. And seeing everybody with that dog face, Snapchat filter and the flower crown filters, it's like, you know what? Yes, let's see some positivity. Let's all reflect on our growth, on who we were, who we've become, and who we want to be. You know what I mean? Because some of y'all really do need to reflect. Some people aren't reflecting enough, right? So if anything, I welcome this. I welcome this 2016 discussion from any and everybody because we all can stand to do a little self-reflection and think about how things have changed and how we want things to continue to change for the better, right? And I posted my dump, right, on TikTok and Instagram at A Little Bit of Lot Podcast. So if you want a little taste to see what my 2016 was like, you can see that. I was still working in fast food at Long John Silver's. Child, I thought I'd never get out of there. And just had started college a year before that, trying to get that associate's degree. Never thought the day would come where I finally finish. I'm able to move out, get my own place, get my own whip, start my own podcast, enjoy being, a content creator. Like, what? Like, it's just crazy how far I've come between this decade alone. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was really nice to reflect on that, and the fact that it just got everybody reflecting has been nice. I mean, even Kim Kardashian has joined in on the 2016 trend. You know what I mean? Like, it's taken over, and it's like, you know what? I love to see it. We love to see it. So let me know in the comments, how much have you changed and grown, for the good since 2016? What was 2016 like, and what was your favorite part of that year, right? And let's just hope that maybe, like I said, pop culturally, 2026 can give us that same reminiscent feeling when we look back at the next decade after this. Like, we'd be like, oh man, Fetty Wap got free and he dropped a banger, and like, who couldn't imagine what else could be, could happen the rest of this year. So yeah, we also have my favorite thing of the week. I would say my absolute favorite thing has to be music, and it's this new artist that I came across on TikTok, and his name is Westwood. Shout out to Westwood. Oh my goodness, I feel like his sound is just so different, and I really personally haven't heard anything else like it. But now that I'm like doing research, I know that like he's in this kind of specific genre of music that I feel like is giving like underground, but it's like low key on the rise now. And it kind of gives like, now that we learn more about Northwest, it kind of gives like Northwest energy. Like, she seems like she would like Westwood as well. Like, my girlie be on it. You know what I mean? Like, she be with it when it comes to the music. I'm like, okay, period. But yeah, shout out to Westwood. He just seems like a really cool guy. He's an independent artist. And I came across his TikTok because I kept seeing, a few of his TikToks, and he would be, promoting his music. And eventually I'm like, okay, I've seen him a couple times. Let me go to his page. I ended up following him, and I absolutely love his music. Once again, it just does something like for my ADHD, where it's like the fact that he also self-produces his own beats, like all the different noises that you hear in the background somehow just combine to this like beautiful chaos that just works. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, like, he's just so witty, and like he low-key be like singing but at the same time rapping, so then it gives like rapper singer fusion with like hyper pop-esque, almost like Charlie XCX if she was a rapper, like energy. I don't even know how to describe it. I feel like it's almost indescribable, the sound, unless you just listen to yourself, and like, if you get it, you get it. You don't, you don't. You know what I mean? It just feels like that's the type of artist that he is. And I personally get it, and I love it. And he just dropped a new album. It's his debut album. I think it's called Glamour. Yeah, it's called Glamour. And it's got 16 songs on it. And I pretty much like all of them. But my favorite song, I would say so far right now, has to be Something to Prove. But it just seems like every other day my favorite song changes. So yeah, Something to Prove by Westwood. I would highly recommend that you guys check that out. And Westwood, if you hear this, come on the pod. I would love to talk to you. I just really want to know, like, coming from the source, like what it's like being an independent artist, what it's like producing your own beats, how do you navigate like self-doubt when it comes to being independent and having to promote yourself, and like that feeling of being on the come up, and just like really get to know more about like the creative side and his influences for his music. So hit me up, bro, because I feel like he's really going to be up next, like, and blow up soon. And I sent him a DM on Instagram, but as of the day that I'm recording this, he still hasn't replied. But it's cool. It's cool. If we don't have him on, I understand. But I would love to have you on. But yeah, so we kind of talked about a lot, no pun intended, today. I feel like we were kind of all over the place with, the interest that I've been having this past couple of weeks. But hey, that's me. I've also been, like I said, watching new animes. I have still been watching My Hero Academia. I think I'm on like season 3 of that right now. I also started Jujutsu Kaisen again because I made it to like episode like 3 or 5, but then we stopped watching it because then my boyfriend was like, oh, I'm not really feeling it. It's kind of moving slow. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this show is good. Like, you're tripping. And so then I convinced him like to start over because I'm like, I don't know what headspace you were in the first time we watched it, but this show actually has a lot of like potential. And so we started it again. He was like, yeah, I was tripping. Like, I don't remember any of this. And I'm like, right. Like, the show's actually good. So I've been watching that. Like I said, I've still been watching Bob's Burgers. I'm on season 3 of that. I already mentioned that I've been starting Sailor Moon as well. I'm just trying to get in my anime bag, bro. Like, I'm just realizing now that I really, really like animes. So if you guys have any like suggestions for animes that aren't weird, you know what I mean? Because I don't want any creepy, predator energy. Some of these be kind of strange. But something that's wholesome, good, has great action, good storytelling, that's non-creeper teens, let me know. But yeah, and be sure to follow me on socials, like I mentioned before, TikTok, Instagram, at A Little Bit A Lot Podcast. And I mentioned it before, but I also have a second podcast now that I'm co-hosting with my friend Shalina, and it's called Everything 2000s. So if you search at Everything 2000s podcast on YouTube, then you can find our show on there and be sure to subscribe and check it out. The first episode, we played a game of this or that and Y2K trivia. And then the second episode, we talked about JoJo, the singer, and we did a deep dive on her career and everything that she's overcome in the music industry. And then our next episode coming out is going to be about Hairspray. Love that movie growing up with Amanda Bynes and Zac Efron. So if, Y2K and early 2000s nostalgia, interests you, then you can find me on that show as well. And that show comes out bi-weekly every other Wednesday. And then A Little Bit A Lot, my solo show, will continue to come out every Friday. So yeah, and like I said, I'm also, doing my streaming every Wednesday on the At A Little Bit A Lot podcast YouTube channel. And if you want to see like my gaming clips from my streams or just like clips from even when I'm not like streaming, you can catch those at Gaming with Kristen on TikTok. And I've always mentioned this before, but I also do coloring. So if you are interested in my coloring content, then you can be sure to follow that and find that at Coloring with Kristen on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. So if you're into coloring and blind boxes, we've got that. If you're into gaming, I also offer that. And if you're into, pop culture, music, movies, TV, with the podcasting, we offer that as well. So whatever you want, we got you. Okay? The House of Kristen is here to serve the people, the people's princess. Okay? But yeah, and like I said at the beginning, be sure to subscribe on YouTube. Leave a comment down below to let me know what you thought about the episode. Rate that 5 stars and leave a review on Spotify and Apple. And with that, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Forward cause I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with y'all.